All right, guys. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to get more into World War II. We're going to be looking at what Germany did and basically what happened at the very beginning parts of the war. And like I said, as we go on, it's going to get more and more intense. Okay. So, here is your warm up picture. Now, the question is asking you to really not pay attention to Hitler, but look at those three guys in the back. Okay. The guy with the stars on his hat, that is Uncle Sam. He represents the US. The guy in the middle with the hat still on his head, that is Britain. And the last guy with the hat like coming off his head, that's France. Okay. So the question is asking you, what do you think this artist is trying to say about those countries? France, Britain, United States. So look at their facial expression, look at their body language, you know, that will really help you out. And hopefully you have a big enough screen. If you don't have a big enough screen, get your paper and look a little closely. There's little details on those guys' facial expressions and on their face. You'll see certain little things that might help you answer this question just a little bit better. Okay. And again, do not put stuff like I see a guy with a gun holding the world. That's not what I'm asking. Okay? So go ahead, pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. So, if you remember from the last lesson, we talked about how the Jewish people were being basically stripped of their rights by the Nazis and Hitler. But you never heard me say anything about them being beaten, shot, killed, stabbed, hung. You never hear me saying that stuff, right? Because they didn't at first. They did things like what they did in 1937. They made laws that said a Jewish doctor couldn't treat a non-Jewish person. So a doctor who's Jewish could only treat Jewish citizens. Now, some people, some Germans were kind of upset about this because some of the best doctors were Jewish, and they were like, "Yeah, but this guy is really good, and he's been treating my family and this and that." The Nazis were like, "No, no, trust us. You don't want this guy as your doctor. You want this German doctor guy. He is a pure blood German. He is smarter. He is better than that doctor." So they attacked them by going after their rights at first. But like I said at the end of class during the last lesson, that all changed because of one kid. Now his name is Herschel. I'm gonna kill this last name. Gerspan. Gerspan. He was a 17-year-old Polish Jewish person. Now the thing is, while he was in France, he heard his family was exiled out of Germany, and chances are they were sent to the ghettos and the concentration camps and stuff like that. So being upset that this happened to his family, on November 7th, 1938, he sees a German diplomat in Paris. His name was Ernest von Ranth. And he basically comes up to him and shoots and kills him. Now, thing is, he did this out of anger of what happened to his parents and some of that. But because of his actions, caused a ripple effect that could not be undone. Basically, in Germany, people were livid. They were angry beyond belief. And there's Nazis out there shouting to people, letting them know on radios and some of that on newspapers. Look at the Jewish people are attacking the good, Nazis. Look at this guy Ernest Ronth, this brave, amazing man who did nothing to the Jewish people, nothing to this kid, was shot and killed by him, this murderer and things like that. So they're twisting the tale that this kid just attacked him for no reason, you know. But again, because of his actions, this leads to a huge anti-Semitic frenzy in Germany, and these German people start attacking the Jewish people. Now, this happens on November 9th through the 10th of 1938. It's called Kristallnacht. I pronounced that right. It's the Night of Broken Glass. And Jewish churches, which are called synagogues, Jewish homes, schools, businesses are burned, pillaged, looted. You know, 30,000 Jewish men are arrested and sent to German concentration camps, where chances are a lot of these guys died by the time the war ended. You know, hundreds of people were killed because again, it was just a free for all now. They just let them do whatever, and Jewish people were killed. And this is truly the first time that violence is implemented on the Jewish people. Now, could you say it's because of him that the punishments happen? Maybe not. They're probably going to resort to violence one way or another sometime soon. But the thing is, because of his actions, it triggered this event. That could have been wait until a little bit later, but because he did what he did, it caused that effect. So that's why I try to tell you guys in class. You may think your actions only affect the here and now, but you don't see the echo that it could cause. So September 4th, 1939, basically Germany tells Japan, "Hey, what you doing over there? We need your help over here. Come join us," and things like that with Italy. And Japan tells them, "Hey guys, this whole fighting with like Britain and France, we're going to be neutral on that." And Germany's like, "What? I thought you were our friend." They're like, "Yeah, we are. We are your friend. We are. You need stuff. Got you. But we're kind of busy with China. China's a big country, okay? And to conquer it all, it's gonna take some time. So, but once we're done with China, yeah, we'll come and help you out, no problem. But we're kind of busy with China right now." The next day, September 5th, people want to know about America. Which side are you on? Who are you going to join? Britain and France, like you did in World War I? Are you going to join the German and Italians? Whose side are you going to be on? Whose side are you on? And the United States basically said, we're not on either side. What's happening over there, that's their problem. We're over here on the other side of the ocean. This war does not affect us, so we're not taking sides. We're neutral. About 5 days later, Canada goes, hey, we'll go to war against Germany. We don't like them. Yeah, we'll join. So they joined the war, declare war on Germany. And basically, a little bit later, about 2 weeks later, on September 25th, Germany bombs Warsaw, Poland. Warsaw is a town in Poland, and they basically demolish it all. I mean, they're really close to like leveling the whole town, and the city surrenders like 2 days later. Yeah, they're like, "Okay, before you destroy everything, we're done. Okay, stop." Now, September, November 1939, Jewish people from Austria, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Germany are rounded up. They're gathered now. They're being brought really into the finished ghettos and concentration camps all throughout Germany and Poland and places like that. Now, November 14th, 1939, the Soviet Union is kicked out of the League of Nations. Not because they said something, but because of what they're doing. Basically, Russia is looking at the League of Nations like, well, you're letting Germany take over here, you're letting Japan take over here. We might as well take over some places. So they took over some places, Poland, and they even went to Finland and said, yeah, we'll take this place. So the League of Nations kicked them out for that. And speaking of Finland, they were supposed to host the 1940 Olympics. And the Olympic Committee people go, yeah, no, there's going to be no Olympics in the 1940s. There's going to be no Olympics because there's a war going on. So yeah, no. Now, Germany, these guys get brave. On November 9th, 1940, they don't attack one country, they attack two countries at the same time, Norway and Denmark. And after like a week or two, they take over, you know. So then they're like, okay, who else can we take over? And then they see Belgium. All right, cool. You know what? Let's take out another country too, like we did with Norway and Denmark. All right, who else is around? Netherlands. All right, let's take them on. And they used again the Blitzkrieg attack, which helped them take over Poland, Czechoslovakia, places like that. Now they're taking over Norway, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, using that same tactic. Now France set up some barriers to try to prevent like a group of tanks coming through into France and stuff like that. They did this after World War One, and they basically kind of felt safe, like yeah, no one's gonna go through that whole area, with these tanks. The problem is when they set up those barriers, they were still thinking about tanks from World War One, which were really bad, that didn't maneuver well, that would get stuck in holes and things like that. But the German panzers were so much better. So they just ran through those barriers with no problem. So that's why when people say, oh my God, France just laid down, they didn't really lay down. It's just that they relied on some defense that was obsolete. So the Germans just ran through it. That'd be like, um, stopping a flood of water coming to your house and using like cardboard. You know, is it going to stop it for a little bit? Sure, but the cardboard is going to absorb the water and is going to go through. And cardboard's not strong. Same thing with their defense; it's not strong. Now, Britain sent some soldiers over to France, and you have to remember the mindset of these guys at that time. When Britain and France worked together, they defeated all kinds of people. The Russians during the Crimean War. They've beaten back the Prussians, the Germans. So they, the Ottoman Empire. They've beaten quite a bit of country. So they're like, we'll join you, and then we'll help you save France because that's how we do it. And like I told students in class, it's like if you ever seen a MMA fight or a boxing fight, and the one fighter who's talking a lot, who's had experience, is like, "Oh, I've never lost. I'm good. I can take on anyone." And then when the fight happens, they're getting their butts kicked. They're huffing and puffing. They're getting their butt kicked and some of that, and they're getting pushed around. That's basically what happened to Britain and France. They were not prepared for the fight against the Nazis. How fast they were, the toughness of the tanks and the airplanes and stuff like that. They weren't prepared. They just relied on, oh, we've been good when we work together. We could take on anyone, and they couldn't. Now they got pushed back, 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 back until they got to a far corner of France and the small little town called Dunkirk. 450,000 British and French soldiers were pushed back to this tiny little town near right on the coastline. Right now, the Germans, as you see in this picture right here on the side, that is actually the leaflets that they would drop down from the planes. And if you read the bottom part, it says, "Look at this map. It gives you it gives your true situation. Your troops are entirely surrounded. Stop fighting. Put down your arms." And they were right. The Germans surrounded, just like they show right there on that map. They surrounded that whole area, and they're closing in. So those soldiers on land are closing in. Tanks are coming through the land. In the air, the German airplanes are coming through, just dropping bombs and things like that, shooting at people, things like that. And in the water, they have submarines, those U-boats, just sitting out there, waiting for battleships to come into Dunkirk to rescue soldiers. Now, here's the thing, like I told my students in class, when those boats, they no, I should say, let me start like this. When the British came to get their men on the boats, the Germans didn't attack while they were loading men on the boats. They waited till the boats got a little farther into the ocean, and then they sunk it. They attacked it with torpedoes, and they would and hit the hull, and the boats would sink. Because you have to remember, what do you do faster? Do you swim faster or run faster? And you have better said run faster. Okay. So when they sunk these boats and they were going in underwater, and soldiers are jumping out of the boats and trying to swim, that's when the planes would come by and just start brrr, brrr, shooting their guns, and it's like fish in a barrel. Now, these battleships and carriers, the reason why they kept getting sunk was because, again, their bottom part, the under the hull part that goes underwater, it goes under like anywhere from 60 to 100 feet. So when those torpedoes are coming through, they're at like a level of 45 feet. So they're gonna hit, bam, the side of the ship, right? Now, Winston Churchill is told about the situation. Hey, we're sending ships, but they keep getting sunk. We got a bunch of soldiers out there just waiting to get picked up, and the Nazis are closing in. And so Churchill goes, "What about fishermen boats? How deep do they go underwater?" And they're like, 10, 20 feet. And the torpedoes are about 45 feet, right? Yeah, yeah, that's how high they can go. They can't go 40 feet. They can only go 45 and and more. Oh. So if we send civilian boats, fishing boats, these yachts, and we're talking about yachts, we're not talking about the big giant ones nowadays. We're talking little, they're ships, big ships, but for back then, at that time, they were considered big, huge ships, but really they weren't really. Okay. And those things go maybe down, 30 feet. So he's like, so those torpedoes are going to go zoom right through, and they're not going to hit the bottom of the boat, right? No. And he makes a call. Tell all the civilians we have in Britain, anyone who has a boat, go to France, to Dunkirk, save as many men as you can, bring them back. So that's what they do. 1,200 people get on their boats, fishing boats, yachts, private boats, and they're heading towards Dunkirk. And they make it. Now the Germans are like, "Oh, here comes a bunch of boats. All right, let's blow them up," and they start launching the torpedoes. Right, and the torpedoes are just going right underneath the boats, because again, the boats can only they're only going in the water this much, and torpedoes are going right here, so they're not hitting them. And some soldiers are swimming towards the boats because they want to be saved. And this is where the Germans sent some planes out there to shoot down the boats, and this is where the French sent some planes to back them up, and they had a little dogfight in the ocean. So in total, those 1,200 boats, 1,200 people, saved 338,000 men, British and French soldiers. Problem is, it wasn't enough. They had to leave behind 90,000 men. Those men were eventually captured, taken as prisoner of war, killed, died. But yeah. And then a couple days later, Germany took over all of that land. Now, this part you see here, this is the speech from Winston Churchill's Fight 'em on the Beach. This is considered one of the greatest speeches of all time. This is easily one of the top 10. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm just going to read the bottom part. It says, even though large tracts of Europe and many old and famous states have fallen or may fall into the grip of the Gestapo and all the odious apparatus of Nazi rule, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the land. Or sorry, we shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And even if, which I do not for a moment believe, This land, or a large part of it, were subjugated and starving. Then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until in God's good time the new world, which is the US, all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of old. Now, he gave that speech the same day those civilians were getting the boats and heading to Dunkirk. Okay. And this speech, when the British people heard it and read it in the newspapers, it gave them a strength. It gave them pride. Like, yeah, bring it on. We're not scared of them Nazis. Do what you're going to do. You think you can scare us? We're not scared. Come on, bring it on. So they really, felt like chingon. They really felt like, yeah, they were pumped. They're ready to go. So June 10th, Italy declares war on Britain and France based off the Pact of Steel that they had, the agreement they had with Germany from several years before. Now, here's the thing: Germany's army goes into Paris and they set up a puppet government. And I want you guys to understand this: a puppet government is just what a puppet is. Puppet is a thing that's not really there. It's somebody's making it do whatever, talk and move and stuff like that. And that's exactly what the Nazis are doing. They have a group of people who say, "Oh, we are the British government," when in reality, the Nazis control those people and are making them do things and they're telling them, "Do this, do that, make this a law, make this a law." You know, but it's not really the French government at all. Now, Germany's taking over everywhere. Basically, almost all the countries in Europe. So they're looking like, okay, well, who's left? Who else can stand up to us? And they look to Britain. They're like, yeah, Britain, we're coming after you. So Hitler wants to invade Britain, send troops over there and invade by land. And this is known as Operation Sea Lion. The problem is the strip of ocean between France and Britain. It's called the English Canal, or sorry, the English Channel, and that those waters are pretty rough if you've never been there. They're pretty tough, and countries for centuries have tried to attack Britain, and they've always lost boats and things like that because those waters are pretty rough. And the thing is too, on the coastline area facing Britain, or sorry, facing France, they don't have like an ocean in and sand and like a beach like you would typically think. No, they got like a big old mountain, and it goes like straight up. It doesn't go at an angle. It's like straight up. And one of these places is known like the Cliff of Dovers, if I remember right. And they could just put cannons there and like shoot at the ships coming at them, and that's what happens. And so Hitler goes, okay, you know what? We're gonna bomb them. When we bomb them, that will break their spirits, break their will. So they sent throughout the summer of 1940, they're doing air raids, flying over Britain. People in Britain, they would have an alarm go off, and then people would turn off their lights. They knew to get into the bunkers, get into the subways and stuff like that, and they would try to keep safe. And basically, what happens? Homes, businesses, factories were destroyed by this. And Hitler's thinking that this is going to make the British people go, "Oh my God, our homes, our factories! Oh my God, we're going to die!" Oh, but instead they were like, "Okay, let's start cleaning up." You know, and this is where that slogan, that little thing you guys may have heard, the "keep calm and carry on," that's where it comes from. It's uh, from this time during World War II. Britain's telling their citizens, "Hey, be cool, right? Don't freak out. Just do what you got to do, right? You need help cleaning up, other citizens will help you because we know you'll be there for them. So we're all in this together. So don't freak out. We got this." And again, they looked at that speech by Churchill and they're, yeah, we got this. Heck yeah. You know, we're not scared of them. They think they can scare us? Hell no. So the British are showing their toughness at this point. So that is the end of this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And like I said, later on, next class, we'll be getting deeper into World War II. Um, okay. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.